Hello, and welcome to another episode of
the Super Data Brothers Super Show.
That's right, I am Ryan.
I am Eric.
And we are two real-life brothers who work in the data and analytics industry. And have we got a good one for you today, folks?
Boy, do we. You know, Ryan, I'm so excited for today's show because, you know, Gartner Magic Quadrant came out. All these Gartner reports come out, you know, and people want to hear about them, and we're here to talk about them.
That's right.
Now, we are having some streaming issues. LinkedIn integration is down, so there's probably nobody watching this. But besides that, this is going to be a really good show.
That's
and
right.
Also, StreamYard integration with YouTube is messed up, so there's actually two YouTube streams, and there are people waiting on the other one.
Yep. So we're going to go ahead and delete that other one, and hopefully people can come over to join us here. But as always, this show is available on demand for you to watch at any time, and we will post it on LinkedIn after the fact, assuming that this doesn't get sorted and we're able to go live during the show today. Because we know that people really like the Gartner Magic Quadrant show that we do every year. And it's unfortunate that
LinkedIn is broken right now.
Exactly. So. But it is what it is. The show must go on. Yep. So we are here to bring you all of the Gartner Magic Quadrant goodness that you need to analyze this year's report. So I think we'll start off by saying, first of all, it's kind of cool to actually be in the same room. I think is this the first episode we've ever done where we're both in the same room?
I think so.
Yeah. So that is unique and fun. The other thing to talk about, and let me just let me make sure that our audio is good here. Let me go in the settings.
Yeah, if you are watching on YouTube,
we're good. All right.
You know,
so our audio is good.
You are watching, go ahead, give a shout, leave a comment. We'll give you a shout out.
Absolutely.
Hopefully at some point LinkedIn goes live.
All right. Tom Wilczek, friend of the show, made it over here. Audio is good.
Okay.
All right. Something has gone right.
There we go.
Thank you, Tom, for chiming in, and welcome back to the show. We got Jonah watching from San Jose. Good to have you here, Jonah. Welcome. Just apologies. I know, most people watch us on LinkedIn, and the LinkedIn StreamYard integration is always a fraught thing.
Yeah.
And remains
it breaks semi-frequently.
Yeah.
This isn't the first time we've had this issue.
No, we have problems all the time.
But, apparently they put out an announcement. I think it's not just us, it's anyone who's using StreamYard.
It's everybody. Richard Ashton viewing from the UK. Welcome back, Richard. Good to have you here. Okay, so let's just get into it. Gartner Magic Quadrant came out. We have a slide deck we'll go over, talk about different things in the Magic Quadrant. Before we get into that, I think we should talk about the Magic Quadrant in general and what it represents and how, because one of the things that I see a lot when I post on LinkedIn about the Magic Quadrant is my comments get inundated with people saying that the Magic Quadrant sucks.
Yeah.
And that Gartner sucks.
Yeah.
And so I want to start off by addressing that.
Yeah.
Like, does Gartner suck? The answer is no. I think they do really good research. They do research that nobody else does. And I obviously don't always agree with them. Nobody always agrees with them.
No,
I disagree with them a lot, but I always can see the reasoning, the rationale behind their opinions. They have very good analysts, many of whom I've met, who are very smart people who do understand this industry. You have to keep in mind who buys and consumes Gartner, who are Gartner's members, who pays everybody's salary over there. It's very large organizations. And so, when I post stuff about the Magic Quadrant, I get a lot of people from like the half of our audience who's in the startup land who will look at the Magic Quadrant and say, hey, none of these where's Metabase?
Yeah.
Where's
hey, Metabase does this stuff way better than whatever whatever dot they're referring to.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to keep in mind, like Gartner exists to help the largest, most complicated, and oftentimes most successful organizations on earth make intelligent decisions around their technology portfolio and how they go about utilizing that portfolio. And once you put that hat on, it gets a lot easier to understand, why does Gartner choose some vendors and not other vendors? Why does Gartner value feature X and not feature Y? And And so all this is to say, before we dive into analyzing this year's Magic Quadrant, that like, I think it is a good and useful piece of research that will help you at the enterprise level make decisions about which analytics technologies and platforms to invest in. And I'm just not one of the haters, you know?
No, but Ryan, is it the be all end all?
No, it's also not the be all end all. And it's funny, even Gartner says that.
Yeah.
When you read the report, and I think I've screenshotted that section of the report where they say, like, look, you should not make all your decisions based on this report. There are other reports they produce. You can engage with their analysts if you're a Gartner member. And then there's other resources you could look to find out which piece of technology might best fit your use case. I think the other thing that leads to the people who don't like the Magic Quadrant report, one of the things that leads to that is they don't actually understand what the Magic Quadrant report is measuring. And we'll get into that over the course of this presentation. So let's go ahead and jump into it now. And we will talk about MQ 2024. So what are we going to talk about today? It's how not to read the MQ. We're going to start with that. Okay. We're going to talk about what drives the MQ. We're going to talk about 2023 versus 2024. You can tell somebody copied a slide from last year. Key findings and analysis. We'll do a vendor deep dive, and we're not doing a shirt giveaway today, folks. Apologies. So how not to read the MQ. Oftentimes people interpret the MQ this way. The y-axis is how popular a tool is, right? And the x-axis is how good a tool is. And so the people in the leaders quadrant are both popular and good.
Hey, man.
Right? Whereas the challengers quadrant is popular but not good.
Yeah.
The visionaries quadrant is good but not popular. And the niche players is neither popular nor good. And that's not how to read this report at all. So what they're measuring here is not these two factors, how popular is something versus how good it is. And you should not read the report as, okay, the leaders are the only tools I should ever consider, and all these other tools are also RANs, so we won't add them to our consideration list. The number one thing to do to get the most out of the Magic Quadrant report is to read the report.
Now, don't just look at the viz.
Don't just look at the picture. Read the report. And that will tell you which of the vendors have what feature set and what market positioning to best address your actual use case. And that is the way to use this report. It may be like the report, Microsoft has been the leader on the report now every year for a long time. It's not any different this year. Microsoft has a great portfolio of tools. It may be the right tool for you. It may be that someone in the niche players quadrant is actually the right tool for your use case. And so you really want to read the report. And that's like the number one step to on how to read the report is read the damn report.
Yeah.
Don't just look at the picture. And it's not hard to get this report. You might say, I'm not a Gartner member. I can't get it. Okay. Every vendor on this report has the ability. You go to their website and you can download the report for free. So download the report and read it. That's step one on how to read the report. This is also some statements from the report itself that you can see, right? So you can see here that like it says, readers should not use this Magic Quadrant in isolation as a tool for selecting vendors and products. So even Gartner says this report is not the end all be all of how to choose a BI tool. It's one reference point among many. Now, they recommend you also look at the critical capabilities report, which is another report that they produce, and they recommend you use their client inquiry service. So obviously Gartner is going to say, hey, use our Gartner services. But that critical capabilities report is actually, I prefer that report. And I think that report represents more of what many people ascribe to the Magic Quadrant, right?
Yeah.
People think the Magic Quadrant oftentimes is like an analysis of software features. And that's a contributing factor to the Magic Quadrant. But that's not the only thing in the Magic Quadrant. There's a lot of other factors that go into this Magic Quadrant ranking. And so read the Magic Quadrant, read the critical capabilities report. If you that's the one that does the deep dive on software features and that's all that factors into the critical capabilities report. whereas other stuff factors into the Magic Quadrant, like market momentum. There's a whole list, and we'll share the list with you here. They also say, don't put your own, as we said earlier, don't put your own definitions on the axes, right? So the axes do not mean popular and good. They mean very specific things that Gartner shares here. So we won't deep dive this, but like Gartner has specific definitions of what it means to be a leader, a challenger, a visionary, and a niche player. And everything in the context of this report needs to be understood within the context of the report, and not like your projection onto the report about what these terms mean. Gartner's very explicit about that. We got a comment here from Jonah. He says, we love the critical capabilities at IBM. Yeah, and you would, right? Because IBM, when you just look at software capabilities in isolation, a vendor like IBM does a good job across the whole portfolio of capabilities. When you take out all market momentum and integration and how good of a partner are you and is the pricing good, when you take all that out and you just look at software features, IBM ranks higher probably than when you factor all those things in. Now, here's what these things actually mean. So completeness of vision does not mean how good is the software, which is how people interpret it. It means market understanding, marketing strategy, sales strategy, product strategy, the business model, your vertical and industry strategy. How innovative are you? How, where are you? Do you do business all over the world or only in one region? So you can see that this goes way beyond just, hey, what are your software features? But that's what people think of when they see that x-axis is
completeness of vision. Like, oh, how complete is this tool?
How many features does it have? But it's way more than
how complete are the features,
right? It's way more than just that. And then ability to execute, again, is not just how popular is it. It is the things you see here. So product and service, overall viability, sales execution, market responsiveness, marketing execution, customer experience, and operations. And these have different weights, and we won't go into the weightings of each of these, but
read the report.
But just to kind of give you an idea of how much goes into this thing, and how these axes don't mean what people ascribe to them.
Now, here, before we go to the next one, we're going to try going live on LinkedIn.
Okay, here we go.
It gave us a pop-up.
Nope.
Cannot go live on LinkedIn.
Failure. Okay.
Failure.
We're going to continue on.
All right.
So
for our YouTube exclusive viewers.
Yeah, that's right. This is a YouTube exclusive. So what is the overall market overview? They list the market overview in the report here. It's very interesting. But I will summarize it for you. It's everybody shifting towards LLM-based NLG, NLQ, which is a change, right? And that helped drive some of the repositioning of different vendors on this report this year. The other that's the first major trend. I would say the other huge trend you can get from this report is just that BI at the enterprise level is being subsumed into your overall application or cloud vendor contract.
Like it's being included as part of your Azure, or like Microsoft is like, because we're doing like renegotiations where I work, and it's like they're like, oh, there's no Power BI anymore. There's only Fabric.
Yes,
it's like, oh, okay,
exactly,
sure,
exactly, and Microsoft is certainly the leader of this, but all the other vendors, you're seeing them do it too, right? And so and that's reflected in where everybody exists on the Magic Quadrant image. Vendor lock is of course a concern in these situations, but the clouds themselves are becoming more open and more interoperable. And so even though, you might be worried, we go all in on Azure or Google, we're going to have problems, but like multi-cloud deployments are becoming more common, more of a reality. Microsoft is just dominating the market right now as far as adoption, and it's because of the overall Azure stack and the fact that if you're an enterprise of any size with an enterprise contract with Microsoft,
you're already
getting it.
You're already getting Office 365.
And Power BI is part of Office
Yeah.
365.
But now, if you want to like process your large data, then you'd have to create an Azure model, which costs money, pay per use. So that's how they.
And
Bill Gates gets his money somehow.
Well, that's right. And that's one of the things with Microsoft is the perception around Power BI that Power BI is free is true to a point. You've leaned off camera. There you go. Power BI. That's true to a point. But that point is like, the most basic Power BI functionality is available for free.
Yeah.
But when you want to start doing things at scale, you want to start doing more complicated integrations, you want to put in more data,
create workspaces to share in your organization,
it becomes a lot less free.
Yeah.
Specialist vendors are playing up independence or focusing on their niches, and no code, low code, and action-driven automations are focusing BI less on developing and more on deciding. This is Gartner's, my summary of their overall take on the market. So this year versus last year, here are the images. You can see the big story here is that the leaders quadrant has become a lot more crowded. So we went from 3 vendors to 6 vendors in the leaders quadrant. 6 is the highest number of vendors that have been in the leaders quadrant in almost a decade.
Wow.
And I think if you look at who they are, it's Microsoft, Salesforce, Google, Click, Oracle, and ThoughtSpot. 5 of the 6 are major technology vendors for whom BI is just a small piece of an overall technology portfolio. The others, and then there's ThoughtSpot.
and then there's ThoughtSpot.
So it's basically, who are the leaders this year? It's like 5 of the 7 biggest tech firms in our industry, plus the company that has probably the leader's position as far as AI-driven BI among major vendors. So then we can get into a big argument. Like, is ThoughtSpot really the leader in AI-driven BI, or is it someone like Zenlytic?
Yeah.
I would say Zenlytic is ahead of them from a feature functionality perspective. But remember, what does this report take into account? Is it just features? No, it's all sorts of other stuff. And so when you put all that other stuff into play, ThoughtSpot is kind of in the driver's seat currently as far as big vendors for AI features. And so that's the big story here. And then you look at, the other major vendors, look how close they are. Amazon is in the challengers quadrant, very close to leaders. And SAP is in the visionaries quadrant, again, like basically touching the leaders line. Okay. And that's all. I mean, and then you have, and then of course you have IBM is the one major company, major software vendor or technology vendor who isn't either in the leaders quadrant or like
right on the line.
Right on the line. And there's a very interesting reason for that, I think, that we'll get into. But this is kind of how things look, right? So at a glance, what's happened, there's been a big shift towards conversational and Gen AI. All these vendors are adding it, like all of them.
Yeah.
There's no change in the vendor mix. Last year,
no ads or drops.
No ads or drops. Last year, Good Data was added, and I think Yellowfin was dropped. Full disclosure, I'm the VP of product strategy at Good Data. So I work at one of these vendors. Use that to inform your own assessment of my credibility, right? As far as like who moved, and Gartner is very clear. They have a very interesting perspective on this, that like the dots don't move. Okay.
Yeah.
Each year is its own unique snowflake of a report.
Yeah. They don't like people comparing year to year, like, oh, this went 3 centimeters to the left.
They really don't. Who moved up and who moved down. Like Gartner is explicit that like they would say that's statistically invalid, that the data sets that go into the Magic Quadrant are statistically unique, and you cannot draw comparisons year to year.
I mean, the visualization itself does kind of naturally draw comparisons, but
yes, it does. But so I'll throw that out there. Like that's what Gartner says, to not compare year to year. I think it's very hard not to.
Yeah, it's real hard not to, especially because someone just naively looks at this. It's like, I mean, like you were saying like, don't look at it as like what were the 2 custom axes? How popular is it and how good is it? Yeah. I mean, a lot of people do look at it like that. So it's somewhat natural that people look at that and then see like, oh, well, Microsoft moved a little bit to the left. Does that mean it's like, and then they think that means that like the tool set got worse. It's
Right.
Like, no. It's just like, because this is comparison to like a whole bunch of market factors, not necessarily even comparing the tools directly to each other.
Right. Right. And then like there's the underlying substrate, which is like, it's not a comparison of the exact same feature set from year to year.
That's another big, like, like in what the mid 2010s, it's like the things they were looking at made Tableau rocket right up, but now they're looking at a whole bunch of other stuff. And like, I don't know if Tableau drop
a little bit,
but I imagine as time goes on, this is just my my prediction. It's like that Tableau will drop further.
This has been our prediction for a while now.
Yeah. Our first live stream was titled "Is Tableau Dead?" So.
Right. You're kind of, let me, should I zoom the cam out a little bit so we can get a little more Eric?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So we've caveated like Gartner, like from Gartner's perspective, these dots don't move.
Yeah.
Right. Every year is unique. Okay. With that in mind, if they did move, whose dots moved the most?
Yeah.
Pyramid moved the most in what you might call a good direction, which was the same as last year.
Mm-hmm.
And Sisense moved the most in what you might call a bad direction, which is also the same as last year.
Yeah.
One very interesting thing is that Oracle is now in the leaders quadrant.
Yeah.
And people that I've talked to are just shocked by this, that like, how could Oracle possibly be a leader? And I would say there's two components of it. One is that the way Gartner's choosing to define the market and market performance is that BI is increasingly bought as a subcomponent of enterprise contracts.
Yep.
And so remember, this is not just a measurement of software features and capabilities. This is a measurement of your total market performance, of which your software features and capabilities is a subset. And so, that helps drive Oracle's position as a leader. The other thing I would say is, actually, Oracle software has gotten a lot better.
That's what I've heard. Well, from you, but that's what I've heard.
Yeah. Like I've seen it in action, demoed at conferences and stuff, and it is a long way from the OBIEE on-prem days. So if your impression of Oracle was formed 5 or 10 years ago, I completely understand why seeing Oracle, like you're incredulous that Oracle could possibly be a leader. But I do think they've really been fairly innovative. Their products have gotten a lot better in the BI and analytics space. And that's a journey that they started. Actually, I worked at Oracle in 2015, and in that time frame, they basically made the decision to not leave OBIEE behind, but like we have to build something new from scratch. Yeah. And so they created at the time what was called Oracle Data Visualization. Very creative naming over there. And right, and I think we're seeing the fruits of that labor now.
Yeah.
Now, almost 10 years later, that they've done that. And also AWS and SAP, very close to the leaders quadrant. Again, these big platform players are just devouring the market from Gartner's perspective right now.
Yeah, that's it. Because like AWS, if you just take the product as a vacuum, like the reporting set components, not QuickSight is pretty decent, but doesn't have any of like modeling or any of that sort of stuff built into it directly. So right, it's interesting that what they're factoring in here. Yeah,
it really is, and as a because like QuickSight in a vacuum is fine.
Yeah. Like I think when I did my review of it a year ago, it's like, hey, this is a decent choice if you already are full stack Amazon. And
that if you're already full stack blank, is like one of the driving factors, I think, of this Magic Quadrant. So, okay, so we basically covered this. This is another point I would like to make. I don't think AI has changed the market yet, and here's why. Because every vendor is adding AI. And they're all pretty much adding the same stuff.
Yeah.
So even though AI, like if you read the Magic Quadrant and you read Gartner's definition of the market, they say like there's been a big shift to conversational interfaces and away from drag and drop interfaces as far as vendor investment goes. And that is 100% true. But I think every vendor is basically adding the same experience.
Yes.
And so So on the one hand, you're like, oh, AI is totally driving the market. But on the other hand, it's not driving differentiation in the market. It's everybody's just doing the same stuff. As I say here, if everybody has an okay chatbot, then nobody has a good one.
That's true.
So until like the AI in BI experience is truly like the way to do it is truly identified, and I think AI's effect on market differentiation will be minimal, even though its effect on the market and on the BI experience will be significant. It's not going to be the deciding factor between, is Tableau or Power BI or Oracle, like who's the leader, right? As long as they're all offering the same basic thing, then that's not the criteria that drives leadership. And I think we see that this year in kind of the, I don't want to say static, because a lot of new people moved into the leaders quadrant, but there was no huge shakeup. There was no like, the new paradigm of BI has arrived, and now we have all new leaders, like what happened in 2016
with Tableau. It's like, hey, Tableau's top price. Like, what?
It was shocking.
The
year that Magic Quadrant came out, and the people who had been the leaders for 15 plus years, Cognos, Business Objects, MicroStrategy, they suddenly were out. And there were new leaders who were in. We're not seeing that. AI hasn't had that effect on the market yet. And like I said, I think that's driven by the vendors and the fact that the vendors are not delivering differentiated AI experiences at the enterprise level yet. At the startup level, it's a totally different story. As far as what sort of AI experiences are being delivered by tools like Zenlytic. But at the enterprise level, it's basically, can I go into my dashboarding tool and is there a chatbot to help me build dashboards? Platform players dominating, just like this bundling of cloud with your AWS, with your cloud platform vendor, or your Bedrock business apps vendor. It's just a giant market advantage right now. So Microsoft, Google, AWS, Oracle, SAP, so anyone who says, hey, you've already
got this, why don't you?
Right. You're already spending $30 million a year with us. Did you know that includes BI?
Well,
right. That's just a huge market mover right now. There's an undeniable advantage to that. From a procurement perspective, from a sales perspective. Okay. Both, like from the vendor's perspective. If you're trying to get your BI tool broader penetration into the market, it's just, there's no denying that, saying, hey, you already have entitlement to some basic version of it. It already has pre-built integrations with your ERP and your cloud data warehouse and your HCM and your whatever, right? That's just driving a lot of the market right now. Now, is this stifling innovation, though, is the question. And I think yes. And a BI, a future where BI is just a platform capability of some mega vendor.
Where it's like, hey, here's the chart making tool.
I mean, that's depressing to me. That's depressing to me. And obviously there's a lot of stuff there. There's tons of BI startups doing very cool, innovative stuff. But the feeling at the enterprise level, especially when you look at the people in the leaders quadrant, in my opinion, is that innovation is very low in this market right now.
I mean, the chatbots, I've used the Power BI chatbots. I was looking at a dashboard and something just came up. I'm like, hey, I'll try asking questions. And like, I asked, like, hey, in the last 2 years, what was whatever? It's like, sorry, I cannot look at the raw data. I can only answer questions about visualizations. Like, I don't need to ask and have you answer a question about a visualization. I can just look at it.
Exactly.
Like, I need to be able to ask the data. So it's like, is it stifling innovation? It's like, I mean, there are other BI tools that straight up can ask questions of the data. So it's like, kind of.
Exactly. And that's what Tom says here. The conversational interface will quickly be table stakes regardless of how good or bad it works. Exactly.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. Everything. A colleague of mine went to like the Microsoft, whatever their latest conference was, and he's like a practitioner, and he said all they were talking about was Copilot, and every single Microsoft tool has something different called Copilot.
Right. Exactly.
And none of them are the same thing. They're all just called Copilot.
They're all just called Copilot.
None of them do that much.
Oh, okay. So this is another thing. We talked about it last year. I just highlighted again. I think the return of governance and semantic modeling is something that's helping to drive this market. Here at Good Data, we're included in the Magic Quadrant in many ways because of our semantic modeling and governance capabilities. And that is a change from last year, and it continues forward into this year. That your having a broad platform with many capabilities and the ability to provide more consistent metrics across the variety of experiences and having strong metadata modeling, all these things for a long time were viewed as like old school stuff that nobody cares about anymore.
Yeah.
And I think they continue to be more and more important in evaluating BI tools. And also they fit more and more into like Gartner's overall perspective on how to organize your data and analytics practice.
Yeah.
So, we see that being an increasingly important thing in this evaluation too. We'll skip that slide. Okay, so let's talk about some specific vendors and how they performed this year. And I'm not going to go through everybody. If you have questions, ask them, right? So I'll just, before we dive into some of the specific vendors we want to talk about, reminder folks, live show. So it's not pre-recorded. If there's a vendor you want to talk about, ask. If there's a feature set you have questions about, ask. If you want to share your opinion, Oracle stinks, go for it, right? We'll talk about it. This is a live show. We bring the realness here at the Super Data Brothers. And so, get those questions or reactions in. I'm going to summarize and paraphrase with my interpretation of what Gartner says about these. I'm not going to share with you Gartner's exact text with any of it. Read the report.
Yeah.
And I will plug it again. Read the report. And when I say read the report, I mean read the report. It's 50 pages. It's long. It's good. The research is good. Read the report. Okay. So, what do they say about Oracle? I think Oracle is kind of the number one topic of conversation I've seen in like the LinkedIn conversations I've had about this year's Magic Quadrant. And again, the reaction to it is like, how is it possible that Oracle is a leader?
So the closest thing to an upset this year.
Yeah, it's basically that's the upset, right? So what do they say about? They say Oracle had debuted a lot of advanced AI-based analytics capabilities over the course of I say 2024 here, really it's 2023 that we're evaluating, and the first chunk of 2024. They integrate their integration with their cloud ecosystem is very strong. So again, this gets to that, like, who's winning right now in the BI market from Gartner's perspective. It may not be your perspective, but from Gartner's perspective, it's people who have stuff like this. So if you choose Oracle Analytics, why would you choose that? Well, actually, their features are much better, I think, than you think, if you haven't actually looked at them in a long time. But also, well, if you're already have tons of Oracle's apps, like this is Oracle's strength in the market, is not, Amazon's strength is, we got all these tools for nerds running on servers and your nerds can do stuff with them.
That's very true.
Oracle's strength is we have all these business applications that run the bedrock of your business. And oh, by the way, our BI product natively and naturally hooks into them. And they launched what they call Fusion Data Intelligence. This is embedding. That's what this is.
Okay.
So this is basically, yes, you can take data out of, I don't even know what Oracle call it. Their product names change so much. I can't keep up with them.
Like Exadata Cloud or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is. But this is not even Exadata Cloud. This is like, let's say you're using whatever cloud PeopleSoft is called.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure it has Oracle, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Data Cloud AI.
Right. Oracle AI ERP Cloud. I don't know what it's called, but Cloud PeopleSoft. Okay. It's easy to point Oracle's analytics technologies to that and do cool stuff. But what Fusion Data Intelligence does, and this is my understanding of it, I've done, brief research on it, is that it completes the loop. Now I want to take something I built in Oracle's data cloud, and I want to put it back into my cloud ERP or my cloud HCM or my cloud whatever, right? So it just completes the loop, which I think is actually a criminally underrated BI technology. I think embedding and the ability to take insights and move them into the places where people actually do stuff is a critical BI capability that most BI teams don't do enough. And that's part of why BI adoption in general is so low, because we still say, oh yeah, you should go into the BI interface and build your own charts. And like almost nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
They don't want to leave wherever they're working. If your job is to work in PeopleSoft all day, you want your analytics in PeopleSoft. And I think that's what Oracle is trying to do here. Now, what do they say? Because this is our new leader. And Google, I don't think has been in the leaders quadrant before either.
No.
But Oracle is the surprising one. When you say, hey, Google's in the leaders quadrant, most people go, yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure.
When you say Oracle is, then suddenly like, how would that be? So what do they say is not great about Oracle? You need to be all in on Oracle, basically, to get the most out of this, which is true. Then it's just Oracle is too complex for SMB. So if you have an SMB, if you're not a huge company, then the Oracle ecosystem is too challenging to manage.
Yeah.
And then finally, there's a lack of skills around these technologies for now. So I think Gartner's prediction is that Oracle is going to continue to outperform the average BI tool in the market, and that as a consequence, Oracle tech skills will become more appealing.
Yeah.
And more people will get them.
So yeah, maybe if you're a BI developer and you want to hedge your bets, spend a few weeks learning BI for Oracle. And and if an opportunity comes up, you're like, oh yeah, I know how to do that.
Well, what Gartner's telling us right now, I think, is that like Oracle's adoption at the enterprise level is ahead of the job market's ability to fill those skills. So
that's a good sign if you got those skills.
So this might be, when people say, I get asked all the time, what BI tools should I learn? And like the obvious answer is, if you're a noob, learn Power BI.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a market opening here as far as the job market is concerned. I don't know. I'm totally speculating, but based on this report, it kind of sounds like Oracle's adoption is ahead of where the talent pool is. Okay. Let's talk about IBM, the old standby. So many of you know us as Cognos guys.
Yeah. That's how we started.
We still have a big group of people who watch us. And then we always get asked, what about Cognos? What about Cognos?
Yeah.
What about Cognos? So I would say, first of all, IBM's portfolio has expanded way beyond just Cognos now. So in this Magic Quadrant, I believe we're addressing Cognos plus planning analytics, plus IBM Content Hub, which is like their data catalog product. Plus, they have now launched something called Watson X.
Cloud Pack AI.
No, it's business. I'm blanking on the product name.
Yeah, the names are always a little
right. But so Watson X is like, Watson was their AI brand, and then when the LLM explosion happened, they rebranded to Watson X, and I think that's like their LLM based products.
Yeah.
Watson in the past was not an LLM.
No.
But their LLM product stack is called Watson X. And so this Watson X business intelligence, or whatever it's called, is kind of, it's almost, I think, like a new version. If you remember Watson Analytics from a decade ago.
Yeah.
IBM has this.
I try not to.
Yeah. Well, IBM has this problem where they actually build something that's like really good, but it's this weird combination of ahead of the market and strangely nerfed.
Yeah.
Where like the idea behind Watson Analytics was like 10 years too early. It was like, we're going to upload data and like, it's going to find the inferences for us. And right. So the idea was way ahead of its time, but then the execution was like, it only works on spreadsheets. It's cloud only. This was in 2015.
The visualization builder was not very good.
Visualization builder was bad. And so like, it just, like I said, it's this weird combination of like, well, this is so innovative, but when I actually want to use it, it didn't work. And I think like this Watson X BI product is kind of that idea, but updated and does work.
Yeah.
So that's very comprehensive. Like when Jonah said, "Hey, we love the critical capabilities report at IBM versus the Magic Quadrant," it's because IBM's portfolio of analytics products meets every capability and does it well.
Yeah.
The analytics content hub is very interesting. This is basically like if you have Cognos and Power BI and Click and
Mhm.
IBM has a product that will allow you to bring all of those analytics assets into one place. It's not just a catalog where you can like see it. Oh, what data is in Tableau versus what data is in Cognos, but you can actually create dashboards where one chart is from Cognos and the next chart is from Tableau.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so your end users, instead of having to go to 5 different BI portals, can just go to one.
Yeah.
And find content from all five BI tools and combine them together. And the other thing they call IBM out for is it can deploy anywhere. And in a world of
Like multi-cloud.
yeah, like this is a unique capability. Now the bad they say is just low market awareness and momentum. Like the market just doesn't even recognize IBM's capabilities at this point. Which is too bad because they're more capable. The tools are better than I think people realize.
There are features in Cognos that no tool made in the past 14 years have added.
Yeah, they can't touch it.
Yeah.
Lagging business analyst support is something that they called IBM out for, and this basically means that IBM's portfolio is really powerful in the hands of Eric, but in the hands of like Steve from accounting, it's not as powerful. The other thing is if you look at the MQ, and we talked about like the mega vendors, right? IBM is the furthest mega vendor from the leaders quadrant. And the reason why is because they're defining the market so heavily in favor of a bundled go-to-market strategy with the rest of your enterprise applications. And IBM is not a strong player in that market. IBM does not have, they're not a well-adopted cloud. And they also don't have extremely well-adopted business applications like ERP, and that sort of thing. And so lacking either of those two go-to-market strategies, IBM scores poorly on here compared to the other mega vendors.
Yeah.
Okay. Pyramid is very interesting. They again, like last year, if you look at their position in this year's report relative to last year's report, they moved a lot in a positive way. What they have to say about it is that it's really easy for non-technical people, and Pyramid offers a really broad platform of capabilities with lots of low code, no code interfaces. So it's just Gartner again defines the market, and this is an area where I don't necessarily agree with them, as like everything should move in the low code, no code direction. Whereas I actually think code is, if you're trying to like automate and scale, code is the way to do it, right? And so they really call them out for that. Integrated DSML capabilities come in Pyramid. So Pyramid is one of those we do everything platforms. Like we're not just BI, we also have data science, we also have AI capabilities, we also have data blending, and you can deploy anywhere in Pyramid. This is an advantage for them. What they say is bad about Pyramid, again, lack of market awareness. So even though Pyramid has this really capable portfolio with lots of different that can serve many needs, people just don't know about it as much. Community and resources, because these two things are like two sides of the same coin. The lack of a metrics layer, like Pyramid is the thing about Pyramid is they have all these capabilities, but it's all kind of like Pyramid's proprietary approach. So if you do choose Pyramid, its interoperability, you can deploy it anywhere, but then its interoperability with other technologies is not strong compared to some other vendors on the Magic Quadrant. But I think like Pyramid's Pyramid's placement on the quadrant is a recognition of the fact that they have a lot of capabilities, and they've done a lot of tailoring those capabilities towards business users with low code, no code, low code interfaces. Sisense, conversely, is the one who, compared to last year, their position is, the most has changed the most in kind of a negative way.
Yeah.
What's good about Sisense is they continue to have a really strong embedding capability. Their DevOps integration is good. So this is, again, the analytics is code piece, the integration with DevOps. I think this is where the BI market needs to go. But this is an area where we don't. I don't think Gartner disagree. They don't think this isn't a valuable capability.
But they weigh other things.
The weighting is different than my weighting, right? And then their AI integrations with third-party services are good. So like if you're using, I can't remember the ones they call out in the report, but if you're using, I'll make it up, SageMaker, let's say. Now, a caveat, don't watch this and say, oh, Sisense integrates with SageMaker. I have no idea. But that type of integration is good for Sisense. And then again, what's bad, it's like the market awareness, ecosystem interoperability, community, and support. So that's kind of a common thing you see, again, with the non-mega vendors, is just the way the market is going, as per Gartner, is that BI being a slice of this giant enterprise pie is a major market driver right now. And someone like Sisense doesn't have it. Someone like Pyramid doesn't have it. At Good Data, we don't have it, right? And so that's part of what's driving what you see in the report. And then, of course, we got Microsoft still the king, right? So the good about Microsoft, it's the alignment across their ubiquitous enterprise apps. Like, you already own it. It integrates with everything you already have. Copilot is a big leap forward. It's interesting. I perceive that the market thinks that Microsoft, like Copilot, is a leader in these capabilities.
From what me using it, it's not.
Right, but people think it is.
People think it's because what Microsoft has done is they've called literally everything Copilot.
Correct.
The thing that coders use to autocomplete, they call Copilot. The little chatbot used in Power BI, they call Copilot. There are other things they call in Copilot. So any good news of that, like, oh, Copilot is really good, people think that applies to their tool, even though it doesn't really.
Exactly. And I'm curious, for those of you who are watching this live, have you tried Copilot in Power BI? And if so, what is your experience with it like? We may have a visitor here.
If they can figure out a doorknob.
If they can figure out the doorknob.
I think that means it's the young one.
It probably means it's the baby. But they do call out, Copilot is a big leap forward, and you get lots of stuff for the low price of your soul.
Yes.
When you use the Microsoft ecosystem. Now the bad is, like, governance is really bad in general on the Microsoft platform. There's a lack of semantics. Microsoft changed the name of their data sets to like semantic data sets.
Yes. Yep. But they were called something else. I think they were just called data sets. Now they're called semantic models or semantic data
right,
sets.
But they're still just data sets, right?
Yeah.
Eric is a Power BI user and developer, and so in addition to Cognos and Tableau.
Yeah.
There's locked in architecture. Like when you go in with Microsoft, like with any of these vendors, if you go all in, you get a lot. If you don't want to go all in, you just lose out on a ton of capabilities.
Yep.
And then it's only on Azure. So if you say, we want to be an AWS or a GCP is our chosen cloud, then like the leader in the Magic Quadrant is just not even an option.
Yeah. I mean, like if your cloud solution is just a database, you can connect to that a database.
Yeah, you can point Power BI to Redshift.
Yeah, that's fine. But like,
right.
You're not, have the built-in stuff,
Yep. And so that kind of covers our vendor overview and the overall overview of what is in the Magic Quadrant this year.
Well, one more point about Power BI and like locked in architecture. You're also locking in the skills of your developers, right? Because lots of other tools like Tableau, I'm sure lots of the other ones, like you basically learn SQL or SQL similar things. Power BI, you learn DAX, which is just some language that evolved out of Excel, and there's two different things called DAX, but they're not the different languages. So like I've run into Power BI developers that's like have a hard time transitioning to other tools because they only know Power BI. So like you're also locking in the skill set of your developers in your company.
Yeah, yeah, and as a BI developer or a data engineer, one thing about Power BI is that it's a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
So on the one hand, it's ubiquitous.
Yes.
Everybody has it. On the other hand, the research I've done indicates that like rates and salaries for Power BI are just lower than what they are for other tools.
Yeah.
So if you know Cognos, you've certainly seen a contraction in market opportunity over the last decade. There are way fewer places for you to get a gig, but those gigs pay pretty well.
Yeah,
because it's a rare skill. Whereas with Power BI, I think there really is like a very global market for Power BI skills, and that means that if you're a BI developer and you live in Minneapolis, that you will be competing for jobs with BI developers who live all over the world and everything that entails. And that's true of all BI tools. Yes. But it's like triple true of Microsoft.
Yeah. Because they're the king. And because that's what everyone learns. We tell people learn it.
Yeah. No, people ask me,
I want to get into BI. What do I do? Well, you're most likely to get it, the easiest intro to a job for you is Power BI.
It's Power BI.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you have a skill set and something else, it might be harder to find a job, but the job will probably pay more.
And I think like if you're a Power BI person, the key is to learn more than Power BI.
Yes.
Right? Like learn the entire fabric, as much of it as you can.
Yes.
And if you can say, oh no, I'm not a Power BI developer, I'm a Microsoft
Fabric developer. Yeah.
Or a Fabric architect.
Yeah. Engineer. Right? Or whatever the people on LinkedIn
whatever they're going to call themselves.
Calling themselves in a year and a half.
Exactly. Then like that
I'm a fabric mice. I'm a fabric weaver.
Yeah. Fabric. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Writes itself.
Please no. Please no. And so that would be what you need to learn more than just Power BI if you're going to go into the Microsoft direction, because I think just Power BI is kind of a commoditized skill set.
Yeah.
At this point, certainly if you're like a world-class Power BI developer who can solve problems no one else can.
Yeah, that's true for everything.
Right.
Any single area though.
Yeah.
If you're a wizard, you're a wizard.
Exactly. If you're the Paul Mendelson of Power BI.
And a powerful wizard demands more gems for his services.
Exactly. Okay, so that's the overall take on the market. If I had to sum it up for you, again, Gartner's perspective on the market, it is the conversational AI interface is driving most innovation in BI at this point. But that doesn't make it a differentiator.
It
doesn't make it a differentiator. That the market momentum is with the major players who can bundle BI into huge enterprise deals. Again, Gartner does research for large organizations that are doing big enterprise deals.
Yeah.
So if
you're not a big enterprise, then something being in the top right doesn't matter for you. The feature set matters for you.
The feature set matters for you. Now, Gartner has a report for you. It's called the Critical Capabilities Report. And that one focuses much more on the feature set as opposed to just the encompassing features, market momentum, execution, strategy, right? That's just features.
Yeah.
What was my third takeaway?
I don't know.
I don't those are the two most important ones. So that is that. So any last thoughts on this? I'm curious, like at Michigan State, when these reports come out, do you guys read them? Or?
No one knows they exist. I shouldn't say that. I don't have any conversations with anyone about them.
Yeah.
Right? Because it straight up doesn't affect us.
It really doesn't.
Like we are like, so this is an analysis for like people making decisions. It's like, well, we've already made a lot of decisions.
Right.
And it takes a long time to make a new one. So like a year-to-year analysis is not going to help us unless we decide to rip everything out, which we're not going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the case. And I think that's another reason why the major platform vendors are seeing so much momentum right now is because it's just easy to look at your spend and say, this BI tool that we're paying this money for this BI tool that's not provided by our major cloud or application vendor.
Yeah.
And, at some point, some rationalization process goes on.
So why are we paying for 3 tools?
Right. When we could just be, when
Paying
it's all
for
included.
one.
And it doesn't just affect BI. I'm sure it affects all technology, right? You look at it.
Yeah, I was going to say that the other Magic Quadrants, I haven't looked at them because I don't much care about them. But yeah, I bet you one of the differentiators is the bundle.
Right.
Right. I bet there's a correlation between these companies if they're in a position in the quadrant that it's similar for their other connected technologies.
Right.
And
I think that's part of the reason why, like I don't see crazy innovation out of the major vendors.
No,
they're just, but what they have is like pricing power, a great sales force.
Yeah.
But
bundling.
the innovation's not there. If you look at other parts of the quadrant, I think that's where you see the innovation, right?
That's why it's not important not to look at the quadrant as top right, here are the good ones, and top left, and like any other quadrant is like a mix of not as good. Right. Because it's because it really is an analysis of the market position, not of the individual tools. The best tool could be in any given quadrant, right? It's really like, where's the market going? Where does this sit in the market right now? And so like a sales team, how strong is their sales team that comes in? So it's not really a judgment on the individual product you're using, but it is like of the overall kind of company in a way.
Right. And so we'll go ahead and wrap it up there.
Oh yeah, we're at the end.
We're at time.
Like, comment, subscribe. We're live most Thursdays.
Yep.
Right. Thanks for joining us. We actually got a pretty good turnout considering we weren't able to go to live on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Thanks.
So thank you everyone who switched over and watched. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah. It's your first time on YouTube. This is our archive. Like most people tune in on LinkedIn, but everything's on YouTube, and YouTube's much better for archiving. So if you want to look at old shows, or if we reference old shows and say go check it out, check it out on YouTube.
Yep. And also YouTube is where we get paid.
Yeah, we get money when you watch on YouTube.
Yeah, every
Not a ton.
Every episode of Super Data Show you watch gives us a quarter of a penny.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. So like, comment, subscribe. Like Eric said, we're here most Thursdays. Thank you for tuning in, folks. To those of you who jumped over from LinkedIn, apologies. The LinkedIn
integration broken for everybody, not just us.
Yeah, it's not just us. Tune in next week. We're taking it off. It's Happy Birthday, America.
Yeah.
So
we'll be busy.
We will be probably on a boat drinking beers.
Yeah.
In northern Michigan.
Yes.
But until next time, folks, we are the Super Day Brothers. Take care.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.